So we've seen a move to the downside on Cardano ADA, and as you guys know, I have been tracking a WXY structure where I mentioned in my previous video how I was looking at two key targets, with one of them being this one between 59.44 cents to 59.8 cents. And I talked about how we could potentially see a final push to the upside before we see that drop to the downside, where we then potentially tap into this region here. But of course, the alternative was that we see that move to the downside where we tap into this region between 57.22 cents to 57.62 cents. And for this scenario to happen, we needed to see a WXY structure formed. And essentially, that's what ended up taking place over here. So yeah, as you can see, we ended up tapping into this region, and we also found support at the 50 EMA, which then led to this push to the upside where we then got rejected at the 200 EMA. And that then led to this deeper move to the downside where we ended up reaching 56.31 cents. And so it does look like we had a bigger WXY structure that formed. And we could see a even bigger WXY structure where we then potentially tap into this region here. So if I was to draw that out, essentially, we had this W wave that was made up of a WXY structure. And then we have this X wave, which could potentially be completed right now. But of course, I'll double check that in a minute. And then we could have that Y wave that would then play out. And yeah, again, we can then potentially tap into this region. And so what I'll do very quickly is check to see if all these requirements have been met, just to make sure that there is no other structure that's forming right now. And so if I bring in the Fib tool, and yeah, that Y wave would then reach anywhere between 1 to 1.226. And here you can see that we're just about extended beyond the 1.226 retracement level. And so it looks like the W wave is now complete. And that's then followed by this X wave, which is typically a 50 to 88.2% retracement of the W wave. And yeah, here you can see that we extended beyond the 50% retracement level, and we more or less got rejected at the 61.8% retracement level. So if I just zoom out like that, so that's the 61.8% retracement level. And that then led to this move to the downside, where we could potentially be within a Y wave. And so what I'll do is mark that Y wave target out right now. And so I'll bring this to over here. So you can see that the Y wave would typically retrace anywhere between 1 to 1.236. So ADA could potentially reach anywhere between 54.65 cents to 53.31 cents. So that would be the next key target for ADA. And if we do not tap into this region, then it's possible that we have a bigger WXY structure. But of course, if we do tap into this region within this structure here, then that could then complete the X wave. And then we could then potentially see that push to the upside to complete that Y wave, where we then break the local top at 59.25 cents. So if I go on the 5-minute chart, what I'll do is check to see if that X wave is now complete. So yeah, straight away I can see that this move here looks to be corrective. So if I bring in the Fib tool, and yeah, here you can see that we ended up, well, we actually extended beyond the 1.226 retracement level. So essentially what ended up playing out was a WXY structure. And that would then complete the W wave, and then we had that short retracement to the downside to complete the X wave, followed by a final push to the upside to complete the Y wave. And so, yeah, the reason why this is not a impulsive move, where because we extended beyond the 1.618 retracement level, that this could be the third wave. And that's because this move to the downside would be the fourth wave, but that fourth wave ended up breaching the wave 1 or the wave 2 origin, which would be, so this would be the wave 1 and this would be the wave 2. And so because we ended up extending beyond that level at 57.02 cents, that then essentially made that 5-wave move invalid. And so essentially what ended up playing out was a WXY structure, which is a corrective move. And so if I remove this and remove this, and yeah, that Y wave would typically retrace anywhere between 1 to 1.226. But here you can see that we got rejected at the 88.2% retracement level. And so despite us not tapping into this region, we did manage to extend beyond the 61.8% retracement level at 57.87 cents. And so this still makes this structure valid. And so, yeah, it looks like the X wave is now complete and we could potentially be within the Y wave right now. And so, yeah, I'm looking for ADA to now tap into this region. And then from there, we'll see if whether or not we'll see a deeper move to the downside where we go even deeper within this region, or we see that reversal to the upside where we then potentially be within the Y wave. And so, yeah, that's just my update on Cardano ADA. Hopefully you found it useful. And if you did, then feel free to hit that like button. And if you're new, feel free to subscribe. Take it easy, people. Peace.